So we're here with Brent Stromwall and Chris Carr and Daniel. So we're talking about Daniel Collins. Daniel Collins. We're talking about sort of this book, sort of a different book, Traction, and the model of business that we run in. You've got to work with people like Chris and myself ad nauseum, right? So you have people that are off the rails and usually causing more issues than they're helping, and they tend to be difficult, I would assume. And I would say that those tend to be your visionaries, if I had to guess.
Sure.
Is there a special place in your heart for visionaries?
There is, actually.
Okay.
I am one, so that
matters. So you can understand.
Yeah.
You hide it well, I will say. You're very orderly and structured. I can't hide it. It's been tough. And then you've got folks that like actually get the work done in your integrators. So that would be Chris at our company.
Yeah.
We could not be more different people.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you tend to approach working with us?
Well, we've got to recognize that each of you has strengths, and that's a compliment that we have a visionary and an integrator, not a conflict.
Okay.
Right? There's great things that visionaries bring to the table. For example, ideas.
Sure.
A lack of structure isn't a bad thing, but we have to have structure too. So we have somebody who's paired with you who has structure. And as long as you guys both see the benefit of having each other and play off of that, then the ideas can be implemented as long as they're good ideas. Not all of them are good and not all of them need to be done.
The majority are not good. Let's be honest here. Right. You get a diamond in the rough every once in a while, but it's a lot of ideas for very little good ones.
Yeah, so that when we're playing percentages, you just got to come out with more and more and more.
Oh yeah, it's a numbers game.
Yeah,
it is. Right. Chris loves that.
Yeah.
You can see him go right over my head. So.
That's right. Chris is checked out.
He's already decided this is a dumb idea.
So visionaries are the ones typically who found the business.
Gotcha.
Right, but there are a lot of great businesses out there that have a great visionary and integrator duo. They may not call it that, but that's really what it is. There's Roy Disney came out with great ideas for cartoons and stuff like that. Very creative type person. It was his brother who ended up being, it was Walt Disney who came out. His brother Roy was the integrator for the business, and they grew a great company. They weren't necessarily running on EOS, but they had a VI duo. Right, so Walt was the creative, the visionary, and Roy was the integrator, the one who structured and had to put blinders on Walt a little bit. Do you feel like you have to do that, put blinders on?
Only every day.
Does he rip them off right away?
A little bit, but I think it goes back to we know each other's strengths, and I'm thankful for his strengths and vice versa. So,
yeah. And I think that's the thing. You got to be thankful for each other and respect that and appreciate it versus see it as an issue or a problem, right? Why don't you just do it the way I do it? There are a lot of us in the world who want it that way.
Yeah. Yeah, if everyone did things my way, we just wouldn't do them. That's the issue.
Right.
We get it's I don't know what book it was in, you'll probably know, but if you're flying a plane, it's like I got good news and I got bad news. The good news is we're way ahead of schedule. The bad news is I don't really know where we're going, right? But we're doing it fast. That's a little bit how I feel sometimes.
As long as we're still at 30,000 feet, I'd be okay. Right?
Yeah. So, anyways, how about you? How do you feel like working with the integrator or the visionary is?
Working with myself.
Working with yourself. Honestly, how is that?
It can be tough. Yeah. I think I can get my own way sometimes.
Yeah.
We joke about if we just spent time on all of our ideas, we'd be scattered. But if we spent time just thinking about structure, we would never go anywhere. So I think, you just come to value visionary personalities, and, I just think that they have an energy about them that I know I could never feel, So I think there's, for the greater good of our organization, well, it's almost like we're just leading the group in tandem, right? So sometimes it's you pulling me along and, vice versa. So,
it's like gas and brake, right?
Yeah.
and you made a comment that's worth talking about. you said you don't think you could ever do the visionary job. I know I can't do the integrator job because I tried.
We tried that one.
Yeah. How did that go? How was that on your?
What was it?
It's quite a few years ago at this point.
What we got about 12 months into that, and you said, "Yeah, I'm done.
I can't do this." Yeah, it was exhausting.
Yeah,
it's trying to take all like the ideas and just be structure and order, and you can only fake something like that for so long.
Yeah, so we started out. You were in the integrator role. You had one of the major functions in the business, one of the seats on the leadership team, and someone else was a visionary. It was actually the founder, Randy. So we swapped that around.
Yep.
And we had it was the four of us in a conference room talking about that. Do you guys remember that?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah. So since that point, how has this role been different? And
yeah.
Do you see it? Let me ask you. Do you see it better matched for you, and why?
Yes. Now, with the caveat that I don't know if this is similar for all visionaries, but I have a hard time letting go of things.
Yeah, that's pretty typical.
Okay, cool, great. I'm in good company.
It's a specific part in the book. You gotta let go. Yeah, let go of the vine. Right.
Yeah. We have one of our leadership team members who all the time will be like, "You should read this book." And I just brace every time because he always tells me a book that he knows I've read and I'm just not doing a good enough job following it. And then he laughs.
There's this book called Traction.
Exactly.
It's really good.
He's like, you should reference that. And I'm like, I know. But that's tough is giving away the work that I used to do. Because, it's
giving it away.
Giving it to somebody else.
Oh,
elevate.
Delegate.
Delegate and elevate. So that's tough for me. I'm working on it, but I would say that prevents me from being fully in the visionary role from time to time.
Right.
That stuff stresses me out. And the visionary role, to some extent, feels less like work. Mm-hmm. I don't know if that's common, but sometimes I'm like, I don't hate it, so it's probably not my job. I should be miserable.
It's got to be miserable. Just this horrible state of despair.
Yeah.
For it to be work.
Yep.
Gotcha.
Feels it, and it's not tangible, so it's tough to point to it and go, hey, here's, there's obvious results that come from it, but it's tough to point back to them sometimes. Right. So I think making the transition from a very tangible role to a less tangible role is difficult.
It is less tangible for sure.
Yeah. But
so how about you in the integrator seat? How is that? Do you see it as the work has to be miserable? And you're doing the structure part, making sure the team is getting things done and following through on rocks. Is that miserable for you?
No. I mean, there's definitely times that it can be stressful, but it's almost like the integrator has their own issue with letting go of the vine in a way, because it's all about specific measurable things. And, you've got to basically take what we've done at the leadership level and disseminate that down and then trust that they're doing it at the quality that we're doing it on the leadership team. So not that we're perfect, but, it just takes an element of like truly letting go and trusting it. Mm-hmm. But I mean, to your question, I think I kind of thrive in structure. So I really enjoy repeatable processes that I can rely on. I'm a big proponent of decision making based off of historical data, and a lot of times that's really not possible in a visionary role. Like there's no historical data, right? So like generating new ideas isn't you can't look at the past to generate new ideas.
He just wants to wing it.
Right? Yeah, I do. 95% of the time, maybe more.
It'll work out all right.
Yeah, we'll figure it out along the way. Yeah. I've got a rough. So I always get made fun of for this, but I speak at our summit for Acumatic every once in a while, and I tell people, like, I have a loose idea of what I'm going to do. They're like, you're presenting in 5 minutes. I'm like, yeah, I've got to walk there. I'll figure it out. And it's fine. Yeah. I mean, it's been awesome to grow in this, and I think we still are. In your experience, is this something that you feel like people step into and they're just pretty set, or is it more of like they learn it over time from those two roles?
Yeah, I think you guys are going through the typical, I would say, journey of learning the role, figuring it out. You said it's like in the visionary role, it's kind of less tangible stuff.
Yeah.
But you'll probably feel better as you are putting some kind of goals for yourself. They're just not goals to get the work done for your customers like it used to be.
Yeah.
or doing things in the software, the Acumatica solution that you guys are VARs for, but there's other things that the business needs, and so and that you're great at, like speaking.
Arguable. Everyone in here has listened to this, so Yeah,
that's right.
But
that's if anyone else in the organization, would they be great at doing it as great as you are? Probably not. Chris, would you ever stand up in front of 1,000 people?
How happy are you to be here today?
How much money do you have?
That's right. Yeah. So a visionary is typically the kind of person who is okay with doing that.
Okay.
Right. And in some instances, in your case, I wouldn't do that. Walk in 5 minutes, figuring out what I'm going to say.
It's not that bad, to be fair. To be fair, it's not quite that bad, but it's close.
It's at least 6 minutes.
And I keep getting invited back, so it's working. So it's not like I bomb it after that.
Right.
It's a pretty proven.
And you kind of know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
you came up in the business, you know the business, the software, all that stuff. So
yeah, I did preparing for the last 8 years, right? Like I know what I'm going to talk about generally, and I can do it on the go. I'm not worried about that.
Yeah, you're just an expert at it.
Yeah.
How do you find kind of playing into the visionaries? I feel like most visionaries just want to win. Like they just you have a big desire to just win. Yeah. But a lot of times the visionary role, it's not very quantifiable to say what's win or lose. So they've got to rely on the measurables of the business to kind of be the barometer for that.
Yeah.
How do you typically kind of play into that desire?
Play into somebody mean like
so I want to be successful. I want to win on anything that I do, but on a large scale too. I think first thing that came to mind is scorecard for me. Yeah, it's not mine, but it's our business.
Yeah.
So how do you tend to lean into the fact that most people in my seat want to be the best and want to win at everything that they do?
Yeah, I would say, what does that look like?
Sure.
Right? Tell us what winning is.
Yeah.
What is success?
Fair.
What is growth?
Yeah.
And get that out of your head so that the rest of your team can understand it.
Yeah.
And then what do we need to do as a team to kind of make that happen?
Gotcha.
We can't just say, hey, I want to win, and go out in the field. And it's like backyard football, right? There's no lines on the field or anything like that. Hey, we're winning. Are we?
Yeah.
Really? Well, we're just running up and down a field.
Yeah.
So we've got to have lines. We've got to keep score. We've got to have goals. We've got to have plays, all of that stuff. That's a great analogy to take into business. That's what we need to do.
Yeah. I like that.
Let us know what winning looks like. Your team is probably saying, let us know what winning is so that we can help get there.
Yeah. Cool. Well, appreciate the conversation.
Yeah,
I think it's been an interesting transition. You've been with us for so many years.
3.5.
And
but no, I'm not counting.
He's like, how many more months?
No, this is fun.
No, I think that you've had an interesting seat, and I'm always interested in your perspective because you've watched it happen and been a part of it in some ways, but not at the same time, because that's kind of the role that you play. And I think that that's probably been wild to watch because there's a lot of change that happens when you roll out EOS. It's transformative for the business, which is good and bad. Like it just is difficult at times, but it's super rewarding at the end.
It's a blast. I have so much fun. I like to talk business.
Yeah.
Way too much. And so for me to get in a room with a team and spend all day talking business and helping them see how they could do it differently and better is just a blast for me. And it's very rewarding. Yeah. And I know what they're up for. Like I just started with a team last week and I said, I know this is going to be confusing for you. You're going to feel overwhelmed. I know what's in store for you. 6-12 months down the road, I know what is going to be happening as long as you stick with it and trust the process. So it's a blast. And those that do stick with it, it's fun to see. And you guys, particularly, you've gone through a lot of changes over the past 3.5 years. And it's been a blast to watch and a blast to be a part of, even though I did try to break up with you once.
It didn't work, though.
Nice try.
Yeah.
Call that the walk-away closes. Like, no. We're like, no, you're staying. So
I do think it's worth mentioning that we discovered EOS and we tried to implement it ourselves.
Oh, yeah.
And there was just no question that once you as an implementer came in just revolutionized, and like it was almost just a catalyst we needed.
Yes.
Yeah. So
we tried it. It was, I was like, oh, let's just see if we can figure this thing out, read the book.
Wing it?
We kind of like piecemealed. I would say we didn't even follow EOS really. It was like, I kind of like rocks, but like I don't like the meeting pulse. And do we need a scorecard? Yeah. We just, it's like a buffet. We just picked what we liked.
Right.
It did not work.
Yeah.
There was no consistency. We didn't do a good job with accountability. And I think you drive a ton of that for us.
Oh,
so we appreciate that.
Yeah, glad to be here.
Awesome. All right. Thank you for your time.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
All right. Excellent.